With speeches, and Amy, you're up. Let's go in order of what the agenda is.
It doesn't say favorite granddaughter.
He made an error.
Autocorrect?
Yeah. It's in white.
It's in white. Yeah.
I think he might be in white. You're just so good.
Good thing I get to go first because you're probably going to hear a lot of familiar faces. You won't be tired of it because I get to say them first. Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me? Everybody can hear me. Okay, I will eat the microphone. I will not talk very well if I don't have something to reference, so I wrote down most of what I'm going to say. But good evening, hello, welcome to the celebration. For those of you who don't know me, I am grandchild number 17. Sorry, Grammie. Yeah, 17th grandchild of Grammie, and I'm sure Brookie's probably told everybody in this room that she's the favorite, so I'm not going to try to claim the title, but if you took a survey, I'm probably the most liked, and I know that because my siblings make up most of the cousins, and all of them like me the best of all their siblings, so I can at least claim that. Their words, not mine. But anyway, I didn't know how many people would be speaking today, but I was sure that everybody would talk about a lot of things that we all know about Grammie, like her always positive personality, her hard to forget one-liners like, isn't that nice? And do you think it'll snow tomorrow? Of course, two things that we already talked about in Jeopardy. And of course, her love for staple, yet possibly questionable things like Jewel Osco, Hallmark, and Tiger Woods. Of course, Grammie would not be Grammie without these things. So today I actually want to focus on something else. Since I'm the one giving this speech, I thought it fitting to tell you about a side of Grammie that all of you already know, but through my eyes. So when I was growing up, I was very fortunate to live really close to Grammie and Papa. So they had a very active role in my life, and I got to spend a lot of quality time with them throughout my childhood, from them babysitting me, to days at the shop, to weekend trips to their house, to birthday parties, to trips to American Girl, Cypress Cove, and of course, Chuck E. Cheese. My childhood, personally, was very beautiful, and Grammie and Pop-Up were a huge part of that. More than that, though, Grammie and Pop-Up, by the way, in case you didn't know, it's impossible to talk about either Grammie or Pop-Up without talking about the other one, if you haven't picked up on that yet. But Grammie and Pop-Up were extremely influential in my personal development in a very specific way, and I think all of us grandkids can say that. But I have a very personal anecdote that I want to share today. Of course, if you know Grammie, you know that she is a very positive person. I think it's really easy for us to sometimes poke fun at her for wearing rose-colored glasses, as we say. Her attitude is always positive, and she thinks the best of people, even if they don't seem to deserve it. And while this viewpoint seems unrealistic to us, the older I get, the more I realize that it takes a lot more strength to think well of people and of life than it does to have a, quote, realistic view. And I'm not saying it's perfect, but it is not motivated by pure ignorance that she has this point of view on life. Another significant trait of Grammie I got to witness firsthand growing up is her genuine heart. I always saw Grammie as a positive person, but it wasn't fake positivity or empty niceties that she was showing to people. She was genuinely kind. Knowing this at a very young age, I was very convicted. I found that I could never live with myself if I ever lied to her. So at about the age of 10, I made a commitment, and I'm not joking, and I've actually never told Grammie this or anybody this before, I don't think. But this is true, I promise. I actually verbally said this to myself. At the risk of upsetting some of my own siblings here too, I'm going to share it. But as the youngest of 8 kids, there isn't much room for talking, especially when 5 of those siblings are boys. Say what you will, the men talk more in this family than the women. But that does leave a lot of room for observation. So when I was a kid, I did a lot of observing. I watched my family. I got to see a lot of things very closely. And I watched some of my sibling teenagers be, typical teenagers. That's what they do. Some worse than others. And I think we've all of us, me included, we've all been in conversations with Grammie, and we've heard one of our siblings tell her a story and maybe leave out part of the truth to make themselves look a little bit better, and we maybe roll our eyes or nudge them a little bit. And I did hear that a few times as a kid, but I really, when I was little 10-year-old me, didn't kind of want to follow that. Not because I was better, but because Grammie was just too genuine for me to lie to in any way. So I said to myself, I want to live a life that I will never have to lie to Grammie about. And I promise you that's real. I said that to myself as like a 10-year-old. So that notion, second to my faith in Christ, really helped guide a lot of my decisions into and through high school. If I didn't feel comfortable telling Grammie about something later, it wasn't a good idea to do it. And so though Grammie did teach us how to gamble at a young age, all those games at Tripoli, her influence over me overall was positive. And now as an adult, I'm so blessed to have a relationship with Grammie. While we don't go to Chuck E. Cheese or American Girl anymore, we spend our visits playing highly competitive double solitaire, watching Hallmark, some things don't change.
Right.
And most importantly, just talking. I think these days our society often downplays the role that grandparents play in their grandchildren's lives, but they really can make such a difference. So Grammie, thank you for being who you are and guiding me and our family so well. It's a joy to celebrate you today, and I'm glad that you get to hear this story and that I get to tell you this and not wait until your funeral someday to share it. So.